Today is about jumping in, and CEIO, which Bill Graustein and I had the great pleasure of dreaming into and following calling to address what that song is talking about. We cannot continue. We cannot continue to build the same old thing. And what does it take to see beyond, but also to step in? And then what does it take to stay the course? So I welcome you. Part of what CEIO is up to is working directly with organizations to see if there can be more alignment between who they say they be and what they're actually doing. We've had the great pleasure of working with organizers, community organizers, grassroots organizers, with the same goal, to support them in being more fully who they've said they have come to be. And this year and last year, we're also doing something called Seeding Conscious Co-Creation, trying to support folks who themselves are holding space for a community or practice that is same thing, trying to be conscious about how we're actually using ourselves, how we're actually using our power. And so I would love just to invite folks that are in this space that are one of the partner or a part of a partner organization currently, if you would stand, just to recognize you in the space. Yeah. And yeah, just staying up for a second, because I think I'm recognizing some folks from New Haven Legal Assistance. I'm recognizing some folks from Elm City Communities, the Housing Authority. Am I recognizing some people from Two Coyotes, maybe? Yes, right. And I don't know about Connect. Am I? All right. Yes. So thank you so much. And while you're standing, I'm going to ask if there are some folks who are here that are from past partnerships, like you were at a partnership organization in the past. Yes. Oh, Stone! Anyway, if people have masks on, I'm like not real fully seeing, hey, Common Ground, Planned Parenthood, Southern New England, All Our Kin, Planned Parenthood. Thank you. Yeah, and you know, it takes a thing to step in and say, you know, even if no matter what happens at the end of that road, to step in and say, I want to be more fully who we claim to be. So I just want to honor those folks. And then I'm going to ask if there's some folks that have been a part of the organizer's path. Let's have the, thank you, organizations, folks that have been part of the organizer's path. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And any folks that are currently a part of Seeding Conscious Co-Creation? Any? Ooh, yes. Ashe. Yeah. Oh, so good. Such a blessing. Such a blessing. So I invite you just right now to think about those little connectors that are here in this space. I oftentimes ask, maybe people just raise your hand if you've been a part of CLP at one point or another. That's the Community Leadership Program. And I always, always, always want to give honor to what came before CEIO. And the Community Leadership Program in CLP was here and helped to, as I walked in 12 years ago, I could walk into some pretty fertile soil. Ashe. Ashe. So I would love to move us into the core of our time together. Let me just, in welcoming you, there's some folks that are here for the first time. Anybody for the first time here in a CEIO event? Woo! Welcome, welcome, welcome. I don't know if you know this building now, so there are restrooms up this way. There are restrooms down those stairs. There's also one if you go upstairs into the corner back this way. This is the only one I think that is a single, I don't know, something like that. And you know, we will go and we'll break bread together, I think downstairs. Jill, is there anything else I need to, or we're good in terms of announcements? Yes. All right, well, I am going to invite up Bill Grosstein to introduce our presenter for today. Thank you all for being here.
Being an MC is not my normal mode of operation. There are two things that MCs will often say. First is, that was a hard act to follow. And the other is, the person I'm about to introduce needs some introduction.
How are you?
Pretty good.
Are you in there?
I was thinking of this last night and I came up with some prepared remarks, which after Neonu's introduction, I really kind of know what to do with here. And what I was thinking last night was, this is someone who is almost impossible to introduce, because the way that Dr. Darya Funches will lead us and what she will invite us to are spaces we haven't been in before. So my job now is to give you some energy for that exploration. And in true introvert fashion, I'll revert to a story of 12 years ago. Neonu and I got together and realized that our hearts had sort of common passions. She had developed Beyond Diversity 101, I developed Community Leadership Program, and we saw how closely akin these were, but with very different focuses, one on individuals, one on organization. So we talked and we realized we want to work together. And what Neonu said was, I've got one thing I will insist on, that we need to work with a third party so that we make sure as we invite people into this program, we don't repeat the patterns we were trying to change. We started off with a 2-day retreat, the likes of which I had never been in before, and which I won't try to describe. But I hope you'll get more than a small sampling of that today. And I hope that Neonu's introduction and your experience of CEIO may give you some sense of both excitement and courage to see what can come out of this deep exploration and unexpected directions that Dr. Darya Funches will lead us through today. So please welcome Dr. Darya.
Good morning. It's so good to be here. I'm not using the mic. Is that creating a problem?
Yes. There are people online who need you.
I wanted to speak to them in particular. Welcome, Zoomers. We know you're out there, and we hope you're looking at each other and looking at us too. And just so everyone knows, whatever slides I happen to use today, we will send to everyone, the Zoomers and you. So don't worry about how copious your notes are, or detailed, or what you're going to forget about, etc. Whatever we use on slides, you'll get. But I'm glad to be back in Connecticut. I'm beginning to think this is one of my second or third homes. I'm not familiar enough with all the geography, but I've been here a lot in the past 12 years. And by way of connections, just to say, how many people in here have worked with me before? Oh, wow. Okay. Great. Well, good to see you again under your mask. I'll have to use my discernment. Neonu and I met in 1985, so we have been on a long journey together. Stay the course. All those things that Neonu mentioned and that Bill mentioned about being willing to step in, being willing to go deep, go far, see beyond, shift patterns, stay the course. It's not like stay the course is a separate thing. So we're going to talk about some different ways of thinking about and being in the consciousness of staying the course. Because I know there's some people in here, maybe only one or two, who've had the experience of falling off the turnip truck. I was born in Mississippi, so you have to go with that kind of, and I grew up in Texas, so you kind of have to go with a little of that kind of talk. But if you fell off the turnip truck from time to time and had to get back on, or possibly decided, I'm not getting back on. It's too hard. It's too much. I know I said I wanted to do this, but maybe I was just afraid of missing something. I know I said I wanted to go far and go deep because I admire what I've seen you do. And I'd like to do some of that too. But I get into the ordeals, or the trial, or the tribulation, or I touch fear. And goodbye faith. And there's so many reasons that we do that. So today we're going to explore some of that. But I consider today like an experience to support transformational leadership. How many people are engaged in something that you think of as transformational leadership? Great. Anybody who's not engaged in something that you think of as transformation, that you don't think you have done that yet? Okay, good. So, one person, okay. Say that again. You all hold both, meaning that you engage in transformational leadership and you haven't? Oh, you mean you resist? Okay. Yeah, I get that. Okay. 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 All right. Well, we might have an experience in thinking that we all have something to do with transformational leadership in this life journey. So I'm going to stretch it that far. I'm going to stretch it beyond what we sometimes call a role, right? But before I get into that, I want to ask Eric to grace us with an invocation of the drums. And as you listen in silence to that drum beat, let us connect in this room and in our Zoom space and between this room and our Zoom space in our hearts. Imagine a golden thread that connects all of us at the heart level, and that we're making that connection as we sit in silence with this invocation of the drum, inviting Creator and the beyond in our space. Mm-hmm. We welcome the good, true, and beautiful of your ancestors here. We welcome and honor the land that we're standing on and the people to whom this land belongs. We honor the people to whom this land belongs. We honor that some of you have made it here this far and have been stolen from your land. We honor that some of you have made it this far and had your land stolen. We honor that some of us come from families of such dysfunction that we all wonder, is there such a thing as a functional family? And we celebrate that we sit here today and have the consciousness, the heart, the courage, and the will to create and recreate ourselves, our lives, our village, our communities, our nation. So when we're talking about stay the course, we're really going to be looking at some of our thoughts, beliefs, assumptions, emotions. We're going to be looking at our understanding of transformation and why we're even here. Why we're even here. So I've kind of broken the day into the notion of having Stay the Course Part 1. What is the course? What the heck is the course? Can I get off? You know, sometimes that's what we want to know. Can I get off of here? I know I said, but can I? Right. And part 2, what's the journey? And where do you in particular tend to fall off the journey? Because there are some patterns to this, right? And everybody has a different twist on it in their own experience. And then what helps you stay on the course? What does it take for you to do that? And what happens when you, quote unquote, arrive at, I'm not going to say destination, I'm going to say destiny nation. Whether it was climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, sitting for 4 days while fasting at West Rock, whatever it was that you set out to do in order to help you fulfill your purpose and be guided along with your calling to do what you have to do. Whatever it is, what happens at arrival. So that's 3 parts, just to keep it simple, that we'll be working with. And I'm going to talk about some foundational concepts in part 1. But before I do that, I want to give people on Zoom land and those in this room a chance to connect. Hopefully, you can connect with somebody that is not your closest friend. Okay? I know it's a community where a lot of people know each other, but see if you can do this. You're going to pick a pair, and your task in that pair is to discuss these 2 things. When I truly believe in staying the course, I tend to do what? And when I can tell I really don't believe in staying the course when I do what? What kind of behaviors do you do? I'm a little dangerous around electronic things, in case I didn't mention it. So clocks may stop. things do funny things. Anyway, what we're going to talk about just for this moment with Stay the Course is, it's kind of a battle cry. It's like you have a calling, you have a direction, you have a vision, you have a destination, and stay the course even in the face of what? Obstacles, fear, danger, right? I don't see too many heads now. It's like, no, if it comes like that at me across the street, I'm moving, right? Okay, no, so stay the course. I'm speaking of your calling, your direction, your vision, your purpose. And I'll start talking later about how we get clear about the course and all that kind of stuff. But right now, I just want you to introduce yourselves. You're gonna pair up on Zoom, so whoever's operating that will put people in pairs. And in here, you pick a partner, and you just have 7 minutes to discuss those two things. And then you're gonna pick another pair, and I'll tell you when. Got it? Doesn't have to be 7 minutes, it can be 5, but we'll have you switch, okay? We don't want to get you into a therapeutic lull this early today. Not this early, later. Okay, let's go.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure, they're up on here too, on the sheet. You see it?
No.
Okay, no problem. When I truly believe in staying the course, I tend to, and then share your behaviors. I'm sorry, I can't see everybody's face. That's why I asked that question, okay? And the second part is, I can tell, let's be quiet for a moment because I'm repeating the question for somebody. Just for a moment. Just for a moment, hold on. I can tell I really don't believe in staying the course when I do what? When I feel this way, when I do these kinds of behaviors, okay? Got it? Thank you. Let's go. Okay, have you done it? 2 more minutes. You don't have to do a whole autobiography, just hit it. So let's just hear from a couple, maybe 3 quartets. Give us one example that you thought was striking. Stand up. One example of a response to the questions. What do you tend to do? Right? The first question. I truly believe in staying on course. When you truly believe on staying on course, what do you tend to do? We have a mic if you want to use that. Tama has the mic. She's holding it up over here in this doorway in case you can't recognize her.
When I truly believe in staying the course, I tend to lean in.
Lean in. Can people hear her? When you speak, you can move down your mask if you need to. Okay. What did you say?
So a good tip for using a microphone is you want to hold it like a candy bar and not an ice cream cone. So you want it to be like you're eating candy, not like you're licking an ice cream cone, which just means hold it like this, not like this. And that'll help people on Zoom.
I have to go into my deep childhood memories. And go, ice cream cone. When did I have one of those? What was it like? For a dairy sensitive person. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And someone on Zoom may have a response.
We have a few.
Okay, let's hear from Zoom. Yes.
When I'm going to course with something, I find that I integrate it throughout all kinds parts of my life, that there are tendrils of it in all kinds of relationships and activities and what I'm reading.
Can everyone hear? Okay.
Okay. I'm not very good at speaking loud. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. We're just going to have you speak loud before you get out of here.
I don't have a lot of breath. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's good. We want to keep you from not overdoing.
When I find I'm going to stay the course, it's something that I integrate throughout all parts of my life. I find that it has to do. It's in through my relationships, through my activities, through what I'm reading, everything.
Great. So when staying the course, integrated through everything, applied immediately, thoroughly, not in a private room somewhere as a secret from everyone else on the planet. Okay. All right.
From Zoom, once I set an intention, I find ways to move in that direction, which includes surrounding myself with people who can support me. And that was from Patricia Watson.
Ah, great. Thank you. Thank you. Getting support to stay the course. Woohoo! All right. Anybody else in the room that had a good example? Yes. We want Zoom people to hear you, so we're going to run over there.
I find deep wells of flexibility when I'm staying the course, as opposed to when I'm not staying the course, I'm rigid and inflexible in all the ways.
Oh. Ah. She says when she's staying the course, she has this deep well of flexibility as opposed to becoming rigid when she's going off course. So this vision and the calling give you multiple ways to get there. That's a system law called equifinality. Okay. More than one way to get to the destination. Sometimes you'll get guidance about the path. And Spirit expects you to what? Stay the course of that path. But there's a lot of flexibility within that. Okay?
Yes.
All right. One more over here. Mike. Mm-hmm.
Staying the course, I'm listening much deeper, better, larger.
Okay. So you're paying attention to everything that's happening. Because on this journey, and we'll get to that part, on this journey, everything means something. Everything means something. So your consciousness and expanding your consciousness is significant. Okay. Very important and essential. All right. Now we're going to talk about the other part. When I'm not, I know I'm not staying on course. When Tammy, you have anybody? If you stand up, she'll be able to see you better when you want to use the mic. Mm-hmm.
When I'm not staying the course, I tend to feel stuck, unclear, and unmotivated.
Okay. Woo. Those are sure signs. Anybody on Zoom? Oh, I'm sorry. We have someone right here, and then we'll take Zoom. Mm-hmm.
When I'm not staying the course, I feel unmotivated. I feel tired. I feel just resistance, and I feel like almost de-energized.
Okay. Woo-hoo. Stuck, de-energized, resistant. Woo! I like that. Resistance. Wasn't that kind of like one of the images we had in the movement exercise? What's the one where the hand went out and the other hand was saying, come, 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 and the other one was saying, get out of here, stay away, right? So a mixed message, right? So some of us do that, and people are around us trying to follow us or be with us in this work that we're doing, and we're giving them the, right? And then they let us know they're getting a mixed message. Okay, Zoomland.
All right, Zoomland. This is from Rachel Scotch. I start making excuses for not showing up.
Woo! Rachel, come in the room. Okay. My big toe hurts, and then it hurts more. And then when I heard you say that, it really hurt. And on top of that, my feelings got hurt. And my resistance grew to staying the course. Yeah, back. Whoever you got, Tama. Mm-hmm.
In our groups, something that came up for me was thinking about how I hold tension. When I'm, okay, here we go. So when I'm up.
Okay, I have a good mic. You want to borrow mine?
Let's see if I can make this work.
Thank you. This is the one that dropped before.
Okay, so when I'm on course, especially when I'm working with others, we can hold tension well. We can hold multiple things at once. When I feel like I'm off course and I'm working with others, it's not so easy, and I tend to want to come into myself and like stay more rigid in like how I'm perceiving things or thinking, or like my like the tunnel, like when I'm very passionate about something, it becomes everything I eat, sleep, dream, breathe. But it can cause me to lose perspective if it starts to like create like an imbalance in what I'm doing. And so I don't know, it's something that came up for me while we were talking in the groups. Once I started noticing more in my body, like, but is that always? Am I always in the flow when it's when I'm it's become everything and it's all consuming, or yeah.
Good. We're going to start giving us a little more framing so we can move into some of the concepts. There was one person briefly. Yes.
Briefly, when I stop staying the course, I stop for every dog that barks along in the path.
You start what?
I stop for every dog that barks along on the path.
Right. I always know I'm in trouble if I start spending a lot of time cleaning because I don't like to clean. So if I notice, I must get to that closet. I must get to. Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Those are all great examples. For the rest of this day, one of the things that happens, if we're going to look at this as transformation and transformation as the course. Creating reality, new realities as the course, including the work I do to create, co-create, and recreate myself. What if that's the course? Because sometimes we think the course is just the plan, you see. But the plans can change. How many people ever try to do a strategic plan and the plan changed? How many people do New Year's resolutions? And I'm not talking about procrastinate and sabotage your New Year. I'm just talking about the plan change. Your life changed. 3 major incidents happened that were nowhere in your life before. And so the plan changes. So I'm not talking about the course is just a plan. And we talk about and think about the course. It's just a plan. But what if the course is beyond what we would call a plan? So just for today, how about if we had a suspension of disbelief? You know, if you're a storyteller, you know that, or a writer, you know that that's one of the things that gets people attached to a book that's, you know, it's like there's some suspension of disbelief because in real life, XYZ you think would not happen. So the writer has to capture you in the notion that this is possible in order for you to enjoy or have pleasure, you know, in the story or engage in it. So you're not going for, you know, 10 days saying, oh, that wouldn't happen, that wouldn't happen, that wouldn't happen. You know, you wouldn't read that long. And instead, how about, well, let me give you some examples about why we need to suspend disbelief. Because the purpose for your vision, the mission, the vision, the call, the dream, all those things are powers and forces that you want to nurture. So if you have some disbelief in your calling, if you have some disbelief in the vision, if you have some disbelief, and if you're not staying the course, even if you think you don't have disbelief, you have some. Even if you think you don't, you do. Okay? And it's good to get to the bottom of what that is, what that's about. I suspend disbelief for today that staying the course is based on what I already know. Staying the course is bringing the spiritual into the material world, bringing the invisible into the visible, bringing the unknown and putting myself into the unknown territory. Not just what I know. Some people say they're staying the course when they're totally using nothing but everything they already know and everything they've already done. You had a vision 25 years ago, and you have now fulfilled it. Yay! Whoop, whoop. Job well done. Time for the next creation. I've had people do phenomenal recreations and renewals and restorations and transformations, and then they say, that was the most significant time in my life. It was powerful. It was vital. I felt alive. We were staying the course. We dealt with our resistance. You had obstacles. We worked through it. And I would never do it again. And I would never do it again. Why would you think that might be? Because digging around in there for this disbelief and assumptions that are in my way of this vision that I have been called to fulfill does take some work. If you've done it before, however, you know something about the journey. You know that the journey has pitfalls and dangers, but that you came out alive. But you also know, depending on what the course calls for in your case, you could, what? You could not come out alive. So it's not the transformation and staying the course is for the young and frisky. I'm still here, so there's something to create next. It may not be climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. I already climbed Mount Table Mountain and Machu Picchu and Mount Sinai, okay? But that taught me something that I can use for the next creation. So, let's just for today, how many people are willing to suspend disbelief just temporarily for today? Just to try some stuff on and see how it works for us. Okay, great. Woo-hoo. And they have this slide in Zoom land, so I don't have to read it, right? Okay, yeah. So here's some of the things to have as beliefs instead we could think about for today. That we are spirits having a human experience. We often act like we're just bodies having occasional spiritual experiences. Okay? But we are spirits having a human experience is one thing to hold for today. Another thing to hold for today is all things are possible. Those of you who are doing equity work, a lot of times have some challenges at framing your vision. I've heard people say, I don't know what it would be like or feel like because I've never had it. But it's important to use another aspect of your consciousness and your creativity. To go to that imagination. And what some people think is woo-woo stuff, visualization is part of how our brain works. It's part of the neuroscience of we have images, things that we can imagine hearing, and our heart opening is key to all those things. To having our sensory perception become extrasensory. So, we're going to have a little journey sometime today about your journey into your calling and what needs to be addressed on that journey. So what if we are here for the course and all things are possible and we're spirits having a human experience? That means the transformation and the creation process is about being able to walk in this world with that 100% spiritual consciousness. Did you say, huh? The infinite capacity that we have is something we're growing, creating, and we transform into more and more and more of our potential till we become truly who we are. Mm-hmm. Truly who we are born to be, truly who we are designed to be. You get that? Does that make sense to you? Okay, so that's the way you're going to hold it. If you hold it that way, then what is the course? The course is creating reality. New realities. We create reality all the time. We reinforce the same rut, or we, repeat the same pattern, or we stay in something that's not working for us or anybody else, or we accommodate the status quo rather than accommodating the vision. Ashe. So we talk about that a little bit later, or where you're doing that and how that works and how to stop doing it. Okay. All right. So the course is here. And it's in our minds and our hearts, and sometimes we have a teacher, a mentor, a guide, a companion that helps show us the course in our lives, helps us see it walks along with us maybe, but then not there all the time, just to, show a little light on the subject. Let me give you a flashlight. Let me give you a rap on the shoulder, let you know you're still alive and you made it through that obstacle. Let me help you see that differently, give you a new set of glasses. Okay? So it's not that you are alone, but you become obedient to the calling. Now, some of us are rebellious in spirit, and we have trouble following guidance that we know we're supposed to do anyway, because somebody's told me. Is there anybody in here like that? I don't think there's anybody here like that. You just probably know some people who are like that, who are going to resist because somebody told them. One time, one of my teachers told me, well, the sign of leadership maturity, transformational leaders that you are, sign of leadership maturity is when you do what you know you're called to do and how you're called to do it, even when somebody tells you to do it. That's a sign of leadership maturity, even if somebody tells me, because I was getting ready to do it until you told me now. And who does he think he is telling me that that's what I need to be doing? Right? And so there comes the resistance. So if you have that particular obstacle, you can put that on your list of things to get rid of, things to work through, things to understand more deeply so I can shift it because it's in my way. And you can keep that little running list for today. But this is what I'd like to invite you to consider as the course. In truth, Source, creation, gives us the course. It's a calling, it's a quest, and we agree. I like to think of it as I agreed before I got here and then I forgot. I agreed before I got here and then I forgot. Because some of us had callings of what you're into now when you were 6, when you were 7, when you were 10. You saw somebody suffering on the street. You acted differently than everybody else did around you. You saw someone that needed help. And even though you did not like them personally, you reached out and opened your heart. Some of you have things you're attracted to now and you know is part of your calling that you thought of as just something that's part of your personality, not something that you were to do. When I was 20-something, I had someone tell me that I was going to be teaching in a church. And I said, oh, you got the wrong person. You sure I wasn't singing, or was I, praying? Or no, you're preaching. No. Wrong person. I speak in a church at least once a month. And then I started one. An interfaith group. It's not one tradition, an interfaith practice. But I'm just saying, that was something I couldn't see at 20. Not because I didn't have a strong spiritual connection, I did. But that was not my career path. I didn't go to school for that. That's not me. I'm not doing that. Wrong. Hello? Okay. I'll share this poem with you, and then we might have to take a break. I wrote this poem, what is the wound that is never fully healed? What is the great lie and the truth, the lie concealed? And what is the urgent dream that must be made real? What is the part of you yearning most to be revealed? When you unleash pure love stored beneath the heart's great seal, and circulate pure love within and use all your zeal, your passion, your calling, be it for your transformation, be it for your village's transformation, be it for your family's transformation, be it for your people. Who are your people? Who are my people? Because whatever the calling is, trust me, it is not just about you. It is not just about you. And that's where it becomes important to lose the little ego. And become part of this larger calling. What does my calling have to do with the people? What does my calling have to do with the nation? But first, dear physicians, we have to heal ourselves, right? And that's an ongoing process, and it keeps happening, which is why this what do you do after you do the first hard thing? The next hard thing. I'm like, I took that on. I'm glad. I'm resting. I'm done. Well, you can have a rest, but it's not long because you're on what? The course. Stay the course. And that doesn't mean you don't take rest. It doesn't mean you don't take care of yourself. But you have an additional source of energy. What time do we? Woo, that's good. Can we take 15? We're going to come back and do a few concepts and have some experiences. Okay? Thank you. What kind of goodies do you guys have in that break room? That's the best, isn't it? Eric Ray. Get your people out of there. I was trying to tell you to get. Okay. Welcome back. And just the thing, you need to remind me if we need a break and I forget. Neona usually catches me, but but just in case, I can share that responsibility with everybody. because sometimes I forget. All right. Yay. Here we are. Is there something specific from the Zoom people, or we're going to wait until the next subject comes up? Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. I'm going to go through a couple of fundamental concepts in the whole system of transformation that I use, which I started developing in 1985, and that's part of my calling as the creator, creating new realities, and also helping other people do the same. And transformation is a part of that. Because in that creation process, anybody who's ever created something that in your space or your territory wasn't there before, and it was fundamentally different in terms of what it created as an opportunity for people, then you know that you've been using part of that given talent. There's 3 levels of culture and change is basically, which is on the slide now, one of the first concepts that I developed in this whole process. The first one was actually 3 gifts, which you'll get a copy of, and that was about the gift of discernment, heart, and presence, and how powerful that is for creating new realities. In use of self, okay? And this next one was this 3 levels of culture and change, basically saying, if you run into the same thing, the same old thing, even though you are, quote, trying to do something different or speaking about doing something different, you need to go down to the riverbed, down to the bedrock, down to the deeper levels of assumptions and beliefs and see what is helping that new reality keep recurring, right? Because that becomes a source for you to assess, diagnose, and go like, oh, not that, that your pathology is so bad or anything. It's not a critical aspect. It's a part of self-actualization, part of becoming and being more authentically and truly and in integrity with who you are designed to be. So when you go down there and take a look, now I keep saying I'm doing this, but this keeps happening over and over again. Then I've got to go deeper than what I've been doing. Sometimes I'm attempting to change my behavior, but I haven't changed my beliefs or assumptions. I haven't healed what needs to be healed. I haven't confronted the lie that may be in my history. I haven't been acting as if the opposite is true. I've been acting as if the lie is the truth. Are you following me? Okay, so when you are doing that, when we are doing that, then we don't even realize sometimes that we are attached to or dealing with our programming that is also called a pattern. And then even once we become aware, we're not so sure we want to get rid of it because whatever the pattern is, it got me this far. That's called the path of least resistance. And there are different schools of thought about that path of least resistance. Some folks just say, go with the flow. Go around the rock. But it is there to teach you something, which I like to take the learning opportunity for the boulder that's in my way, the boulder that's in my mind, the boulder that's in my brain, which we often will think is somebody else. What the song say, we can start sitting down and blaming other people and telling them what to do. That's very common in organizations, you know, in organizational change, so to speak. You know, would you fix those people over here? Would you come help them? Because they don't know what they're doing. And they don't know how problematic their behavior is. And if we hire you, we want you to come and change them. We're all right, but they got a problem. So that understanding of one of the fundamental principles of the REAP transformation work is co-creation. So people often don't understand that whatever this reality is that's bothering me in this 3 levels of culture, that I'm part of co-creating it. So first point of self-examination then is, what am I doing that perpetuates that? And sometimes that is hard to come by. It's amazing how slick we can get. But when I do, I think it's a function and a sign of liberation. Some people say co-creation is blaming the victim. I don't see it that way. I see it as, if I can recognize what I'm doing that is some part of this problem, then I can fix me. I can fix me. But if I don't see it, then I'm stuck. That doesn't mean other people aren't part of the problem, okay? I'm not saying it's just you. But you can move you. And then once I do that, when I make my shift, then I can move to the next thing. Either I've got to go, they need to go, we need to go together, whatever the thing is, okay? So when you are seeing a challenge up here in the ways of doing things and in the behavior in the organization, in the culture, and you have a calling, let's say the organization has a vision that it's accepted. Is the organization going to accommodate the way it normally does stuff, or is it going to accommodate the vision? Key. We did a piece here before on accommodating the vision, but that was for the core team, wasn't it? Neona and Bill, yeah. So, but that is a critical aspect of what needs to happen. Learning to accommodate the vision. And we'll let you take a look at how that's working for you in a minute. So let's just define transformation. It is not incremental change. It is not movement within the same reality. It is movement from one reality to a different one, fundamentally different. And it appears to occur all of a sudden, and it's a leap across an abyss, if you will. I like to think of that Indiana Jones movie, Last Crusade, when he gets to the edge and the guy says, "What do you really believe?" He's like, "Oh boy." Because he believed that if he takes the leap, he's going to fall into the abyss, or that he's going to make it to the other side as he's been shown in vision. So then you get to, as people following your calling, to stay the course. This is the course. Stay the course. Are you going to follow your faith and different knowingness into the unknown? You know it in consciousness, but you haven't yet made that particular leap. Okay? And if you make that particular leap, then that's where all that courage and boldness comes in. It is not transitional. I don't even use the same word. I don't call it transformational change for that reason, because that conjures up in the subconscious a whole lot of other things. Like I can paint the outside and call it a transformation. I can wrap it up differently and call it a transformation. I can put a sweater on it in the wintertime and call it a transformation. Because it is a change that I put a sweater on it, right? It is a change that I painted the outside. But did I fundamentally change anything about how this works? What kind of results come out of it? How it fundamentally feels to live in this culture? Or did I serve 250 people, you know, whatever I served them, lunch or whatever, but did something fundamentally change? Nothing wrong with serving people lunch, by the way, they're hungry, okay? So serve lunch. But what is it that I need to do to create a transformation in the quality of life? And the renewal of agency, okay? So does that make sense to you about what transformation is or is not? Any questions in Zoom land? Nope. Okay. Yay. Well, everybody already knows this part. We can just go home. Y'all ready?
Please wait for the microphone. It's on its way.
Sorry about that. I was just wondering about the part where you talk about transformation is all of a sudden and discontinuous as opposed to a change over time and gradually or transitional. And it feels like, at least in the work we've been doing with CEIO, that I think of it more as the process, and that it's not like that it is more sort of gradual or a process or a learning and a growing over time, and less like from one moment to another. So
okay, so here's the thing. Let's think about moments. And in one moment, you've got past, present, future, everything. Okay. When the all of a sudden quote, and the reason it's in quotes is because it seems like all of a sudden you're doing what you do, you're doing what you do, you're doing what you do, and then all of a sudden. Some of these concepts like this come from some research on the inner experience of leading transformation that I did as part of my doctoral research. And all of a sudden was one of the dynamics that people who were leading transformation 30 years ago or more mentioned repeatedly, that they were doing what they were doing, they were staying the course, they were doing their assessments, they were having their intentionality, they were doing the healing work, they were doing all these different things, and then all of a sudden. So the inner experience is often all of us, is this boom, flash. But that's which is different than gradual, incremental change. In fact, it's often different than whatever the plan is. Not different, however, from what the vision is. So if you make a distinction between the vision and the strategy or plan or goals and all that, and see what the vision is, and have some indicators of what that might look like, feel like, and everything, then that is the all of a sudden experience that most people who are leading transformation had. They didn't experience it as a result of incremental movements. One way I think of that coming together is that there are 4 moments. I call it one, the destructive aspect, what it is you're breaking apart or breaking through. Another is the generative, what you're actually creating. And the formative, how you shape that or begin to see what you do that shapes that or brings that generative moment into physical reality. It's an idea that has no feet, arms, legs until you do something that really accommodates it. And then, so you have, and then there's that which is, having done that, it's regenerative, it's sustainable. Having done that, it's not that you recreate that thing, but you can recreate the next thing, the next reality. So these are moments, because in any given moment, that opportunity is there. The fact that you had 15, 20 meetings over, a year before all of a sudden doesn't make it consistent with what we call incremental change. It means that in that moment, when this moment came around today, we said enough already with the same old thing. It's not like you made 15 changes on the way to this change. That would be more incremental change. We change this, we change that. And sometimes people think they're doing transformation, but they're doing incremental, they're trying to do incremental stuff. I'm not saying that it's wasted time or effort. Because for me, one of the things that actually happens, and I know how, what my buttons are, right? What actually happens is I get sick of myself. I'm like, oh, when I see what it is, I keep doing over and over and over and over. I'm like, enough already. And then I have to get to the bottom of it if I didn't. And I think I got to the bottom. You're still here. So there's patterns you create. There's things you get attached to. Who are your avatar role models? What would Buddha do? What would Muhammad do? What would Jesus do? What would the Holy? Go through the list. What would Sophia do? What would the goddess do? Go down your list. What would the Lion of Judah do? Go through your list. And begin to look at that consciousness you have that is off center with that, And why am I so attached to this thing? Leona, what I thought about when everybody was doing the movements, and the last movement was this, right? Who was doing this? I can't remember. Yeah, she was doing Leona was doing the finale for the song, right? Keep on trying to do it, and you're gonna get the same old thing, and you're going like this. And Leona said, "What are you looking for?" I said to myself, "I know what she's looking for." Many organizations are looking for the opportunity to appear as if they're transforming, but they don't have to. And if you came in there, packaged it up with a bow on it, and said, "I've got how you can appear to transform without transforming," folks will be beating your door down. Where's that website? Beating your door down. They might not want to acknowledge that, but that's part of, because it's work. It's also fun. Like I said, I've had, people tell me that was the most vitalizing, renewing, powerful time of my career when we did all those shifts, in the organization, when we transformed the culture. Didn't mean they didn't have obstacles, didn't mean it wasn't hard. But every now and then somebody says, "And I would never do it again." Meaning, it took a lot of energy and a lot of focus, and it's exciting, and I have all the stories I need to tell in my retirement. And that's okay. But if I get into another organization, I'd have to do, the same thing, because now I know something that I didn't know then. When you're given the calling and you have the vision and you start gaining the skills and the knowledge and the wisdom, it is not just for you. Ubuntu. I am because we are. And pretty soon we're going to remember or get what it means to be a human being. And that's part of it. What it means to be human. Spirit beings having a human experience. So we can do from the inner outer expression of wholeness and oneness and unity. Okay. Now, just meditate on that possibility. Back to you who asked the question. Meditate on that possibility that there is a difference between making 15 incremental changes to get to this thing, vision, goals, purpose, and the transformation that occurs, that we experience as all of a sudden. Because usually what happens is you persist. Not meaning you're not learning anything. And then boom. Okay? And for me, like I said, the precursor to that is I get so sick of myself. Okay. And here's the core model. And then we're going to have some discussions. R is for reflect and release limitations. E is for envision and engage the potential future. A is for activate, assimilate, and accommodate the vision now. Do it. Staying the course in part means going all the way. And regenerate the next new reality. Yeah, you can take a break, but, right. So, with your pairs, you remember the 4s you were in? Share where you tend to fall off the turnip truck. If you look at these 4 pieces. Just one example. Is it hardest for you to do the digging to find out the root cause of the repetition pattern? Is it hardest for you to envision something specifically? Is it hardest for you to intentionally activate and accommodate the new vision? Because sometimes you do new processes, new structures, or whatever, but it takes a cultural transformation for it to stick. Neona can come in there with a new idea about something, but for it to stick, for you all to be able to apply it effectively, culture is a big deal. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but it means that's what gets in the way. You take a new tool and you still come up with the same problem. It may look prettier, like I say, it may have a sweater on it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. So this transformation is no joke. So this process is really helpful. Let's take just a few minutes. Get into your turn to people near you. Yeah, I will. REAP, R-E-A-P as in Peter. From there. Okay. R stands for reflect and release limitations. E stands for envision and engage the potential future. A stands for activate, assimilate, and accommodate. The vision now. Just do it. Now, sometimes you say just do it, and it's like, well, I'll wait till 3 months from now, because then I will have fixed my knee, and I'll look better on the interview. You know, whatever. Okay? Huh? The P, position and produce results. That is the regenerative aspect. That makes it sustainable. That makes it stick. You do all 4 of these things. That's the transformation. So the simple question that I'm asking, and it doesn't have to be a complicated one, I'm just going to give you 5 minutes. Just turn to somebody next to you. Don't even have to be 4 people. Just turn to someone near you. Okay. And where do I fall off the turnip truck? Most often. Okay, in the I'm going to clarify something about true transformers. Okay. How am I acting like a status quo agent? I had 4 categories in this research that I was looking at. And one was the status quo agent, and one is, I call it wannabe. Wannabe, that's the part of me that, wants to be doing it without doing it, right? Without doing it. And then there's an aspirant, the aspirant that I really do aspire to this. I might come up with some obstacles along the way, but I'm aspiring to this. And I'm committing to the journey. True transformers I described as going even further. True transformers, and I'm reading this because everybody can't see, okay? Demonstrate conscious and effective use of self to create and co-create fundamentally different realities for self, others, and systems, using capacities such as being clear vessels to transmit and receive accurate, relevant information. Focus of consciousness. That is to say, you have the ability to focus your consciousness when things are going well and when things are not going well. Good. So it's work in self-mastery. Focus of consciousness and energy, strategic and tactical competence for generation and activation of vision and a soul's potential, whether it's an individual, system, or collective. Okay? Now, that's a long sentence, but I wouldn't put it in an article. But I wanted to put it there to see the connections between each aspect. So we did a 13-month program cohort sponsored by CEIO for True Transformers, for people to work on level 1 of this mastery. True Transformers who are in here, stand up, part of that cohort. Yep. Thank you. Was that a little bit of work? Just a little, okay. And then transformational leadership to help take others into a new reality. A transformational leader must first have been there, at least in consciousness. Ho ho! At least in consciousness. Because you're already there. To embody it, you have to already be there. And let me tell you a trick. You cannot get there if there is the calling for a vision. You cannot get there from here. You can only get there from there. I need to say that again? Okay. If we're talking about your calling and the vision connected to that calling, you can only get there from there. You cannot get there from here. When I'm trying to get there from here, I am always reaching. I can't quite catch up because I'm not moving faster than the status quo. The status quo will keep moving the goalpost. And I'm trying to get there from there. But if I'm already in the position of the vision, if I'm already embracing it, if I already had the dream, if I'm already embodying the dream, if I'm already walking the dream out, if I'm already believing the dream, if it's already part of my knowingness, and I'm not drowning in my doubt, then, okay, then I am creating from there. Some people didn't believe Martin Luther King knew what he was talking about. And they were like, that sounds good. He sure did preach that word, but you know, those people gonna be like they're gonna be, you know? Racism just gonna keep on being. Nobody gonna give up any racism. It is true that people unlikely to give up power, but that doesn't say anything about the power of the so-called powerless. So, if I'm going to be in that position, be it Malcolm X that I'm talking about, be it whatever tradition, whatever leadership posture, if I'm going to be there and own that vision of unity and power and agency, then I can work from there with tactics and strategies that come from there. If I'm coming from here, I'm going to keep producing what I've been producing. That's why you don't wait till the end of a change effort to say, let's all work on our mindset. Now we have some time. We have some burning issues, but now let's work on our mindset. Let's learn. Okay? Because, and that's what people, well, that's nice to know, but we have some other burning issues, you know. So let's do that, and then we can feel like we're doing real work. Don't come in here telling me about my mind. In fact, the 50s was the era when it comes to organization change, that the era of get your hands off my attitude. 50s, organization behavior and industrial psychology and all that kind of stuff in organizations. You couldn't talk about anybody's attitude. Couldn't talk about anybody's assumptions. You couldn't engage in a process about that. You had to only engage about behavior. You could talk about behavior. And it's still relevant to talk about behavior, but if no shifts are happening, you know, underneath the foundation of that house, it's going to be the same house. All right? So when you want to work on consciousness, you want to transform an organization or group or village yourself, you got to work on that mindset and those assumptions and the beliefs we were talking about. Is there a question? We have a mic need. Stand, yeah. So she can see you, yeah.
I mean, I'm hearing the testimony, I'm with it. I know I'm not alone in this space, but what happens when your vision is of transformation culturally, of behaviorally, of how we believe and think how we are supposed to be together? And when you sit in that, right, and that you're there, right? I'm there, but I'm there alone. And it's, how do you continue to be in that alone when you're identifying like, hey, how we're being together is going to, like, we're not going to get the other win that we're trying to get because we can't even talk, we can't have generative conflict. Because when I say, hey, I don't like the way you're talking to me right now, because I just asked you to respond to an email and now it's a whole thing. We need to be, what happens when you're like, hey, let's slow down? And that is the thing right there. That's the thing, not Trump, but how we are together right now when we're trying to thwart Trump. And how do you, when you feel so alone, when that is your vision, that's my vision.
What's your vision? Your vision is that we are together.
We are, not only are we together, but we can identify, you can see me, I can see you, and we can see that that is the thing. It's not you. It's not me, it's what we have made to believe about one another. And when it's now time to do that, though, we understand the concepts, we got the trees, we got the thing, we're saying the words, but when it's time to actually do that, what happens when you're the only one that's like, okay, like I want to slow down and I want to ask this question, but then that is what gets you ostracized.
Well,
what happens when that, like, how do I do?
Okay. Well, let me start with this. Let me start with being ostracized. Let me start with the consequence of standing up for the vision that everybody says they have. Okay? So whoever you're sitting there with, some of them have said they have the same vision, right? Or they agree, right? I came home one day and told my mother when I was about 9 that they were talking about me at school. And I was speaking up for what I was doing, but I used to try to hide my mind because who would think people would criticize me for my mind? But my peers did. They teased me, they ostracized me. We all act like we were trying to do well in school, but they talked about me. So I went home and I told my mom, and she said, you're in good company. Her response was, they talked about Jesus Christ. Are you better than Jesus? You're going to be upset because they talked about you? People are doing their path of resistance to what they say they want. And once you understand that, if you are speaking for what you want and what people say they want, and that puts you in the next level position of confronting how the behavior is different from what we agreed to. If I'm stuck in my feelings, I was telling a group yesterday, my feeling hurt. Teasing about how I used to tell my dad that my mother hurt my feelings. Okay, my feeling hurt. If I'm stuck in my feelings and my emotions, I can't see that now, and it becomes hard for me to stand up for it because my feelings are hurt. The next thing you know, I'm feeling hurt and I'm mad because I'm hurt. And when I'm on top of being hurt, I'm mad, as opposed to realizing in these callings, in these visions, it is not about you. That's why the healing work for the true transformer is so essential. Because you have to begin to act as one who is unwounded and unwoundable. And when you are unwounded and unwoundable, then that's because you don't know you're a spirit having a human experience. Yes, no, but if you get that, you having a human experience and you become an overcomer. And when you become an overcomer, you are doing a new thing. And when you are doing a new thing, it is not tied by the emotional ties and attachment of the past and the woundedness with which you grew into this humanness. Okay? Ha! Ask your neighbor. I'm with you. I understand the pain. I'm going to let you follow through on the next question with this. But what I'm trying to show you the course.
Right. So I think for me personally, before I was staying the course, I would be like, oh, that hurt my feelings. I'm out of here. I'm not doing that. And now I realize that it's not, why did it hurt because I care about this. And so me being able to experience the feelings of, oh wow, that wounded me, that hurt me, helped me to understand what I care about, what matters to me, the things that I actually truly value, when what I thought I valued was actually causing me harm and constant cognitive dissonance. And so the things that I value is being so deeply in community that it sounds weird when I'm like, I just want to be with my people. I want to experience the thing. It's not.
That's your heart, honey. Your heart is open. Okay?
Beautifully so. And also, when your heart is open, Dr. Darya, people will stop on that thing. Grab that thing.
Hey. The Arrows 91st Psalm, babe. Okay, so when you have done that work, you be like they say Crazy Horse was. He'd be flying in battle. Folks would be, shooting and throwing arrows. And, he'd be like, it's a good day to die if that happens, Boom, boom, if that happens. So to have this in the status quo, it's leadership. Leadership is a posture of warriorship. And I can't be in my feelings. I have to get to the point where you know that that's not about you. That's about them. That's about the place that they're in. It doesn't hurt your feelings because you care so much about it. It hurts your feelings because it hits a place where you've been wounded before. And you care more, and you're at an advanced place about caring more than you're being cared about, okay? And that's what gets triggered. You told me I better what? Okay. No, it's not a lonesome thing.
How do we now, because so many of people are like, in this space are like, yes, right? And also, what happens when we leave out this space? When some of those people know my name and we still don't have the thing that we all identify that we, I don't know how I think, because like this is at my first deeper change, right? And some of this is here. And so how do we do the thing outside of this space, right? Like how do we?
Well, when we kick up true.
Can I just say something to her? I think that me and Hillary were just talking about the same thing. And I think more specifically, we're talking about Black folks and anti-racism work, or Black, it could be any group, but I think that this is a conversation that we need to talk more deeply about because you're not the only one that is experiencing
No, not at all.
And I don't think that in this container, we can hold all of the things that we've been talking about probably for the last 5 years. We have to do this work together and not be in silos.
Exactly. You have to have you doing the work. You say, how do we? It's not, this isn't this is the raise the frame of what needs to be done. I'm sharing with you the course. And I'd say come to True Transformer when we give you the dates for it because, and you have other things you can go to too, to do your healing work. The healing work to be done with people like me, and the healing work to be done with people different from me are both important. But doing the healing work with people like me is a very significant component for everybody from all traditions, all cultures, all nations. And you're raising the question, but it's not you. I know that this is a universal dynamic and I see it all the time. So the seed I'm planting is to say, there is a reality on the other side of this, and there are pathways to it. And I'm painting the picture of the course. That healing is not only possible, it is probable. And it will be an actual reality for you and others. So know that you. So what I said about being unwounded and unwoundable is part of what we described as really walking in the human body and carrying the full divine consciousness. Because it's not about you. Once you've done your healing work, you have become one with Creator. Yes.
So I have hi everybody. I have a question from Christiana Smith on Zoom. So this is, how do we identify and address the people who want to be here when it feels good and will try and change the course to make that good vibe last at the cost of true leaders who may have the power? Yes. Who may have the power and influence to reroute us from the course?
Yes. Well, you know, when you're really on it, everybody in the organization is not necessarily on it. The leader, the people who are in the leadership posture, not necessarily role, who are in the leadership consciousness, not necessarily role, not necessarily the authority. You have to stand on your spiritual authority, stand on your leadership, insight, and intervention. And when the system chooses not to go there, you can choose to take it elsewhere. It doesn't change the calling. It doesn't change the course. It changes the geography. So that geography, Zoom person, okay, we can't be attached to things that are not the course. Stay the course. Well, people start talking themselves into things like, well, they don't really want to change. They said they do, but now da-da-da-da. But they pay me well. I like my benefits. I can't stand these people, but I'm just going to go in my office and do my thing. So then people start isolating. Are you on the course? Are you isolating to survive in this environment which has begun to feel toxic? Did I answer the Zoom question? Okay. And so that is a really good example that you describe of the organizational dynamic that can happen. Okay? The Zoom person who did that. And this one too, that you just, what's your name? Allah. I like that. Okay. I am that I am. Okay. You have another one?
I don't think, there we go. Healing work is never done, yes? If so, is there a threshold of readiness for stepping into transformational leadership, knowing there is always more healing work? And that's from Zachary Dutton.
That's interesting. I don't think it's like you have to be healed totally before you do your transformational leadership work. That's not real. So you're doing your transformational leadership work or pursuing it while you're learning. While you're learning, while you're healing, while you're doing all those things simultaneously. That's part of the process. there are three, I wasn't planning to talk about this. There's the holy self, there's the true original self, and there is the self that we often talk about as, our human being self. And part of what we're doing is integrating those three. When I said what I said about the unwoundable and an unwounded, that being something of the past that I have a reference point for and I can talk about, but that I'm not living in that space. True original self. Before the traumas, before the woundedness, before all the stuff that gets triggered, before the, okay? Holy self, having integrated fully the divine consciousness. Then you can just float on out of here if you want, unless you came, part of your mission is to do something else. Like take a group of people with you. Okay? So this is what all of that is part of who you are. And what you accepted. Look at your name. Woo! So, beautiful. Beautiful that you care. Beautiful that you're passionate. And sometimes I care more than the people I'm helping. And I care more about them than they care about me. But from a spiritual consciousness standpoint, should that stop me? If I'm in my psychological self, it'll certainly give me some resentment. I could use some other words, but give me some resentment. Is a nice way to put it, right? So, and it can isolate me. In a group that has some resistance, people will allow the person who stands up for what the group says it wants to do the work. From a transformational leadership standpoint, I can say, I did my part. This is what I'm doing. When are you going to do your part? This is what your part is. Or you tell me what your part is. And when are you going to do that? We all agreed. So when are you going to tell me what your part is? When are you going to do that part? Why is it funny?
Because it feels that sounds so real.
Yeah. We agreed. Y'all said, and as an interventionist, as a human being, that when people agree, they also still have what? Resistance. Why? Because there's some things that you like that about. That's why you know. You said you were going to do it, but you still have some resistance. Okay? So, about this thing, doing it means you're going to care. That's why some things I'm called to do, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do that. And I'm like, how's that going to fit in? How am I going to have that happen? So I have to get to a place where I can see how that can happen. How that one thing can happen. I want to do two things that are active. One is to demonstrate and experience the whole thing about seeing the potential of someone. That was going to be doing a couple of volunteers, one at a time, of what I call a mini Lotus reading, looking at what is your highest potential and how is that being carried out and what may be a barrier. You may not want to be that, want to volunteer for that, but that's an opportunity. The other thing I want to do is have everybody, and everybody learns from that when there's an experience like that. It may be you that I'm talking to, but everybody learns from what comes out of that. The second experience is for all of us to go on a MINI journey for your course, So we'll do a visualization journey where we go on your course and see what you can see what where the opposition might be, how you transcend that, and do any healing you have about fear or trepidation on that journey. So those are two things I want to do activity-wise. And I have a feeling we're getting dangerously close to lunch. I'm not concerned about that because some really good questions came out of this discussion that affect everybody. Okay, what time is it now? Oh, I have enough time to do one thing. Okay, one question and then.
Thank you for earlier when you were talking about how you need to, in order to bring people with you, you need to stand in the vision and start there.
Mm-hmm.
My question is coming from, sometimes I feel like when I am moving people in this process, I get muddy and lose the fact that I have the vision. And so I'm wondering, how do you not get in the confusions that others might have, or some of the ways of like holding the status quo? So like, how do I not get lost in the confusion or the, oh, well, let's stay here and do this because it feels good? Like, how do I kind of have the ability to stay above to keep bringing the people to the vision?
The practices that help with staying the course. First, I think you need to embrace a few principles that I got comfortable in my chair. I sat down and talked to you, Ella, and then I got stuck. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Four principles that came up among people who are true transformers. Principles about nature and universe and life, principles about the nature of transformation itself, principles about use of self. I'm not going to go through all those, but there's 34 of them. And that's part of what we were learning for people with true transformer. But here are a few highlights. And embracing these principles, I think, helps you when you say, how do you say there's some practices, but first you have to start with the principles, because I have to agree to embrace those principles and to work with them, to experiment, to suspend disbelief, to experiment and experiment with it, okay? Hello? Okay. All of a sudden was one of them, and that's about transformation, the nature of it. That it's already there, just like the butterflies within the caterpillar. It's in there every moment. It's about when am I going to stop that pattern that's in my way? When am I going to use this moment to do a different thing, to do a new thing, versus going along with? Okay. The second one is a very important practice for staying the course. It's a principle, but it's also a practice. Go all the way. If I stop in the middle because of your resistance, go all the way for me. I can't make everybody else go all the way, but I can decide to go all the way for me. And if I go all the way for me, then I have been there, done that, got the t-shirt, I got blood on the floor, and it's mine. And it's all right, because I'm still alive. I just have some blood on the floor because I was in a battle. But the biggest part of the battle was with me. I could pay some of these people where I had battles for what I learned as a laboratory and liberatory experience. I could not have bought a workshop that made me learn those things. So when I decided to take it on, I can take it to the top. I can end up in the C-suite carrying my complaint, carrying my positivity, carrying the inspiring view of what needs to happen. I don't have to have a label or a title that says I am the leader of this change project. Do I? Mm-mm. So go all the way with the vision. If the vision is unity, how am I going to show my unity? If the vision is integrity, how am I going to show my integrity? If the vision is service, how am I going to show my service? If the vision is heart, connected in the heart, how am I going to continue to show my heart? I didn't even know what the John Birch Society was when I went to college, coming from segregated Houston, Texas, in Illinois, in a rich liberal arts school in the Midwest. And I noticed every time this guy came to pick up his mail while I was doing my little job, mailroom at the desk, he would just treat me very rudely. And I didn't know what his problem was. And somebody said, oh, he's just part of John Birch Society. And I'm like, well, what's that? Oh, it's a seriously conservative and, biased and prejudiced. So I decided that I was going to treat him so nicely every time he came. He came, I found out where, I'm from Texas, so I wasn't, that wasn't a foreign concept that somebody didn't like me because I was Black, right? So I would just, be super nice to him. I would tell him something funny, he would never laugh. And then finally one day, it's like I broke him. He literally cracked. And that was an act that I'm going to engage this guy. He can act like he's going to ignore me, but I'm going to keep engaging him. Now, I could have said I'm going to avoid him because he's prejudiced. He's racist. He doesn't like people like me, so I'm going to avoid him. Hello. I live in Lewis County, Washington State, and I'm running something called Circle America. Woo! And let me tell you, those conversations about us all coming together, they're amazing. Amazing. Foresight of the true transformer. Look ahead. Where is the opposition coming from? Where are the obstacles? Practice your discernment. True transformers, as a practice, you build and build and build your discernment so that you have 20/20 foresight, hindsight. You got to do the just do it. Did I say go all the way? I'm so serious about that. That's one of the most important things for. How many people have felt yourself stop when you meet resistance? And then you have a story to tell about, we were going to do this, but, we were going to go to, but then they, and then they didn't want to, and then they said they wanted to, but they didn't want to, blah, blah, blah. And that becomes a part of my narrative. They wouldn't need you if they didn't have resistance, but you don't want to let them make you do all the work, whoever they are. So you have to engage at the boundary of resistance. Write that down so you can think about it later. Engage at the boundary of the resistance. These are hows, H-O-W-S. They still may not want to change, but they can't be conscious of what they're not conscious about unless you give them the feedback. Embody the vision. That's a practice. Get up in the morning and drink it like you drink a cup of water. Put your vision and your imagination in your cup of water. The true transformer has been there in consciousness. That's a practice. Meditate, focus on the vision. You start living from that space. Know that vision should trump, not the person, should trump culture. You have to transform the culture, otherwise the vision doesn't stand a chance. The true transformer accommodates the vision and is a clear vessel. That's what the healing work is about. Whoever said healing doesn't stop, I'm not going to say that because I can't speak for whether there's somebody that has healed their woundedness. I know you have the capacity to heal your woundedness, but I'm not going to say that that person who is living another level of consciousness and who is 100% doing a new thing and who says they are one with Creator. I'm not going to say they haven't finished their healing. Okay? So people have to speak for their own experience, and you don't have to wait for all the healing to be done to be at another threshold, to go on the hero's journey, to do any of it. Go for it. You fall on your face, get up and dust yourself out, turn around, do the hokey pokey. That means you're doing something. If you're not falling on your face, you're not doing anything. If they're not talking about you, you're not doing anything. If they're not giving you a hard time, you're not doing anything. If the dog's on after you, you're not doing anything. Keep on going. Sometimes when I'm on a calling, I wake up and I think the alligators were chasing me in the water. You know, oh, I better swim. Oh, I can't swim that fast. Oh my God, they're coming. That's me surfacing what I'm anxious about. So then I know that I'm not all the way in my knowingness that this is going to be okay. Then I get to the point that people will look at me like I'm crazy because, you know, the house could be on fire and I could be, yeah, that's cool. That's all right. Got any water? You know? And so because I'm not responding the way normal people respond. But I consider myself a spirit having a human experience, and so I'm not going to be in a fear space about this. In fact, I might be cracking jokes about whatever is happening. And then comes the miracle. It is your consciousness, it is your energy on which the miracle occurs, on which the breakthrough occurs, on which standing in the vision manifests the different reality you're pursuing. Okay? We have volunteers? If not, we'll go on the group journey. Now, nobody who's done it with me before. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, that would be for, let me tell you what a lotus reading is. I have time to do that? A little one. A little one. Okay. I'll take sister right here. Mm-hmm. You're gonna come up, you have to come up here. You have to come up here with me. Oh, and she needs some paper 2. You need some, I think maybe, Diana, I should do the lavalier now. It's paper. I'm gonna have to, and then I want somebody to write for you, or you can record it. Her. Okay, you go, girl. Okay. Well, these are gonna have to be quick. If we do 2 of them, they'll be quick, okay? And I just need a lavalier because I can't hold this mic and do what I'm about to do. So why don't you bring that chair over here? Well, I want my hands free, and I need. I'm not telling you what, there is a slide on this, but I'm doing too many things, so I'm just going to tell you. The Lotus, I'll show you the slide later. The Lotus View answers at least 4 questions and maybe 6. What is my highest potential? How am I demonstrating that currently? What barrier exists, if any, to that potential right now? And what's the most important thing for me to do now to activate and accommodate that potential?
I got it.
You got it? You got those 4? Anybody, I mean, in your mind or on paper? Okay. And I may just do 2 of them. And then, thank you. Okay, usually we would be talking a bit about what fits for all of us. So, but what happened in that process for other people? Who learned something from this? How did what came up for her connect to somebody else? Oh, I thought I have it. Oh, it's over on the other side. So sorry. So the question is, what connection did anybody make to what came up for her? I see somebody saying, oh, you're yawning. Okay.
Oh, okay. So it's actually related to a couple of things. So earlier, the thing that keeps me from doing things, anything, is similar to what the lady with the head wrap was saying, that you feel like you're by yourself. And the way I saw it was like I'm a little girl in front of a whole village and there's a dragon that's coming to attack us and nobody can hear what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And when you were speaking to her, I felt the ancestors saying, sing our songs, like be with us, that we are with you and we're going to make your light grow. And that's something that keeps coming up for me too, that I need to listen to my ancestors. Yes. And they're the ones leading my heart. And we're all in it together. Yes. And that if once we look up from our hearts and look to whatever we consider to be the divine, yes, then we no longer feel alone because we see the golden threads between each other and we see all of the fires. That's right. And we know that collectively we're lighting the way.
Absolutely. So, absolutely. Absolutely. No being, you're not alone. You're not alone. And that's so powerful to have that experience and that connection to the good, true, and beautiful of our ancestors, but also that divine presence through them and others. Yeah. Creative. Thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. And you were hearing about singing. Mm-hmm. Do you sing? Well, the chorus takes you from the known into the unknown, you know? It takes you from the ordinary into the extraordinary. She's like, okay. All right. I guess if you sang, they wouldn't have to tell you to sing, huh? That's great. Mm-hmm. All right. Is there somebody else? Anyway, the point of this is to see, to say that as a transformer, you have foresight. Okay. And hindsight, you know, we always say you have 20/20 hindsight. Well, you know, with 360 vision, you can get 20/20 foresight and 20/20 hindsight, right? So being aware of what's around you and doing it. So going into these spaces is critical. Do it. Let's stop. Oh, what is it? I think I should stop. And so we'll have lunch, and then we'll pick up on one more, and then we'll do our journey into your healing journey and all that. Okay? Have a great lunch. Chow down. You're gonna need it for your journey. There are times that I do any ones, MINI, ones back to back. And so if I start looking cross-eyed soon, you'll know why. But first, let me just do let you see this slide so you see what it was I was referring to. The slide on the lotus perspective, and Elizabeth can give that to the Zoom people. That's, you know, what this fully covers that we're looking at. And I've always done these kinds of readings, but the lotus view is something Spirit directed me to do starting in 2012. And I was directed to do them for 1,000 people that year. And one of the things that helped me get to that goal, by the way, was the fact that I did one on New Haven. And since the New Haven population is quite well above 1,000 people, I had already done like maybe 100. And I was like, am I going to make it to 1,000 this year? And then I did one on New Haven. And that took me over the edge. So if I remember, I will share it in the stuff we send, in the documents that we send by PDF after this. So now, the person who wanted to do, where's she go? Ah, there she is. So we'll do one more, and then we'll go into our journey work. Yes. And I'm proposing it's in a way that, okay. She says. Space. You need a piece of paper. And we won't be putting these on the website or anything, by the way. I'm really having experience with these mics. I'll keep this one. I'm going to, okay. Connections. Connections to anybody. That's great. If people start standing up, did we have a mic on the floor out there? Please. It makes it, if you're able to. If you're not, give a big shout out. Any connections you make to what, Leonie? Discussion? I see a couple of nods, but anything you want to share? No. Okay. Yes.
I was just going to say that the vacillation around believing and disbelief, faith and disbelief, I know where that lands in my body. I've done that dance. And also how transformation is a leap. And I could feel it in my body when I'm about to take that leap because I believe. So I want more of that in my life. Thank you.
Okay. You have a Zoom?
Yeah, we have a Zoom reflection.
Okay, go ahead.
This is from Matthew Armstead. Vacillating between anxiety and faith slows down manifestation. Brought me back to the A in REAP, which is where I tend to fall off the turnip truck.
Ah, you fall off at A. Awesome. That's good to know because it means you get back on again when it recurs sometimes, right? You go back to the beginning again. But if you fall off at A, you don't get around the whole thing, right? Okay. Thank you. Good example. Anybody else relate to that? Falling off the truck at A? And you get very wise when you fall off the track at A, you know, because you have collected so much data about your pattern that you can just write a book about that, and that begins to be more attractive than destructuring the pattern. So, you know, there is the risk in this of becoming seduced by one's knowledge of one's patterns. I said, just ask your neighbor. No, seriously, because in the, you know, there's the transformation, and then there's the talk about transformation, right? There's the, you know, status quo agent part, and then there's the wannabe part. Because if everybody's doing it or talking about doing it, I don't want to be, you know, missing something. So there is such a thing as the afraid of missing something syndrome, FMS. And so afraid of missing something. And, you know, so let's not be seduced. That's, you know, if you think about the prayer, lead us not in temptation. They're talking about that addiction to talking about your pattern, okay? In that prayer. No. So the activate, do it now is very important. Thanks for sharing that because it's very common.
Hi, when you were talking and you started with the description of pearls, I actually had imagined her like covered in pearls, like adorned in pearls, like, and that was the imagery I got, but you described them on the floor.
Well, they were all around her. They were on the, yeah.
Yeah.
At her, it was like pearls at her feet is what they showed me.
Yeah.
And you saw pearls.
I saw pearls
her adorned
on her,
with pearls.
and I don't mean to say that like what I saw in any regard. It was more so like, I guess I thought of a question as to why would it be on? It's something so precious. It's gifted, but is it like there was just so many that you can't wear them? You don't have
There
to
were
show
so
it.
many. There were so many. They were gifted. They were like gifted. So I wasn't looking at. That's what I saw them around her feet as, like this abundance abounded. She's the gift of blessings, and this is this gifting that's happening around her is what I saw. I find it very useful to describe what I'm shown rather than to interpret it as being, something. So what I'm shown and what I'm told, so they were gifts to her. So that's how I described it. Now, the fact that you saw pearls too, the fact that somebody else saw when I was talking with the other person, somebody else saw the song or singing or something. I can't remember, right? When this is happening. What is going on is that we have done the connection through the heart threads in here, on Zoom, and around us in the environment. So we are sharing a consciousness in this moment. We're sharing a consciousness, and some people are attuned to that consciousness in a very explicit way. So their images being shared. If we were to do, there's such a thing in some villages and indigenous traditions as group dreaming. And if we were doing a group dreaming ceremony or night or 2 nights or 3 nights, drug-free, okay? So I'm saying it's not a hallucinatory ceremony. But if we were doing group dreaming on behalf of our group or community or village, then we would awaken to share the group dream, and we would have, some shared perceptions like you do, like there's an elephant, right? But we're seeing different parts of the elephant, and we're told about different parts of the elephant in our community. And so that is what is happening at this moment. It is a generative moment in New Haven through the Deeper Change Forum and CEIO about the potentiality of discernment in part of the transformation process. Yes?
I have a question about impatience.
About what?
Impatience.
Oh.
And yeah, and attachment. So I realize why visioning is good, but then there's also this aspect of like attachment to the vision. And for me, I think that generates some impatience in me that it takes me out of consciousness. And it's not having me in the past, but it's having me in the future in the way that's not connected to now.
Okay, so the thing of it is then, excuse me, what is that? There's some kind of chant, and I don't remember, must have been football games. What do you want it? We want it now. What do you want? We want it now, right? And then it came into a civil rights movement when we were marching. And now it's still here. What do you want? Right, freedom. When do you want it? Now. And so there's nothing wrong with the chant. There's nothing wrong with the vision. There's nothing wrong with the challenge. Nothing wrong with the demand. Now, if emotionally I am so disturbed about not having it now that I find it hard to do the work of activating and accommodating and strategizing, then you're right. Then that's when you get lost because you're in the feeling of the impatience instead of in the what I learned from that strategic move. what did that yield? I think we need to multiply that and have 5 of those things in 1 month instead of one every 6 months. How do you accelerate that? And you're doing it now, so it's helpful not to see it as somewhere out there. You're doing it now. The very doing of it now is part of being able to perceive it as already here. Part of what is distinctive about visionary leadership, I want to talk about that part. I mean, because transformation is all those 4 parts, right? The healing, the teaching, the warriorship, all that, the transformation, the whole thing. But when you look at the visionary part, just think about how it's an opportunity to act from the future now. And that can anchor you in terms of how you frame what you're doing. My impatience mostly comes from disliking the experience I'm having of reaching for the thing that I can't grasp, which means that's my experience that comes from you can't get to there from here. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Remember this is here, and this is the vision. Okay, this is 11 o'clock. This is 12 o'clock. So I'm struggling because I keep trying to get to 12 o'clock from here, from 11. So I keep chasing it, and 12 keeps moving. Oh, it's a new law. Oh, it's a new voter registration process. Oh, it's a new, and I keep going from here. Now, when I see people act contrary to the vision, if I get into my reactions and stay in my feelings over here, then I'm still chasing the thing that's moving the goalposts. But if I operate from here, there's an infinite amount of possibility of what can be done from my end to go all the way. I can't control other people going from all the way. Spirit's in charge. One of my biggest lessons on my course, stay the course, was I'm not in charge. That about knocked me for a loop for a year or two, that I'm not in charge. I mean, I make my own choices. I have some choice about how I respond to things too, a lot of choice about that. But that in the course, I already agreed to certain things. I already agreed, which means I made a choice. So I made a creative choice. That's why I told you it's helpful for me to get grounded in what the experience is of doing. I'm like, what is happening? Why is it going like this? So because I'm on the course. And what I learn on the course, I can use to meet my calling. The reason why I'm here. Hello? Okay. So that's the deal. So then patience is okay. It's an annoyance, it comes with certain generations. I don't think this generation has any, dominance on that front. Its only difference is those of us who are, well over 70 have already had that experience. So we might have some wisdom about it. But we were impatient in our relative spaces of doing things. So, okay. So work with it from a reframe is what I would suggest for those who are being disturbed by getting out of focus by focusing on your impatience. A sense of urgency does not equal being impatient. Somebody that doesn't want to change may tell you you're impatient, but that's the meaning that they're making out of your urgency because they don't feel urgent. Wonder why. Okay? We ready? Did we have a Zoom land question? Okay, good. So let's do our journeys. What do you say that you can see better with a blindfold on than with one off? Let's pretend that that's the case for now, because we can use our what? Imagination. Right. Okay. So we're going to pass out some blindfolds. And you already have one? Blindfolds. I'm not gonna ask you to walk around and stumble in the room or anything like that. Blindfolded. That's for the next course. I'm not beyond doing that, I must tell you. And it is a very powerful experience to realize you can find out where you are and where you're going blindfolded. Because then you know what medicine and traditional folks know, and that is that organ of sight is the brain, not the physical eye. And so that is why you can see better blindfolded. You have a brain. Don't believe all this stuff when people saying, "Oh, I'm not visual, I'm auditory, or I'm kinesthetic, I'm not." So, you have all those capacities. Some are more developed than others, and that's okay. But you have a brain because you're here, and that's the organ of sight. Okay, so we're gonna have our blindfold. We're gonna get rid of any kind of encumbrances in your lap, and you don't. We're gonna uncross our feet. Make sure you're sitting someplace comfortable. If you start snoring, well, I'm gonna put a microphone by you. It will help with our drumming. We're gonna play some drums, and they'll be going through the speaker. I'll be using the mic. People on Zoom will have the same drumming recording that we have, and in here, Neonu will also be drumming with us. And so you can think of this as a visualization. Now we can have the Zoom people do this with us, but we won't put this journey on the whatever in a public forum of any type. Okay. So here we go. All right. Okay. So you're writing so you won't forget. I can't tell you how many times I said, "Oh, I remember that. That was significant." 2 days later, I'm like, "Oh, what was that? This is an important message. What was it?" So you want to write that part down. Okay. Whew. So, anything you want to share? Yes. Oh, you want the mic, don't you?
Sorry, not sorry, but it feels weird. Yeah, to be sharing this, I guess, like out like this. First of all, I'm not here right now. Thank you.
She's not here.
so in another place right now, but I felt like I fell asleep, and I don't want to say fall asleep, but like, you know, when you go into that, like, they say like the delta, all those like different, I feel like I went there and like completely tapped out or tapped in. That's what I want to share. Is there something to say to that?
First of all, what's happening in here is in here. So you're not conscious necessarily of your automatic programming when it's working. Sometimes you discover it after the fact. Oh my goodness, I was triggered by this, and then I said that, and then that led to this, and then I was depressed, and then I was anxious, and then I was afraid that I lost a relationship, and blah, 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 blah. Right? So when you're in the stage of that receptivity, whatever is happening is happening. Now the question is your recall. If you have a meditation practice, or if you have a dream practice, or if you just pray to become conscious of those things that are relevant to your calling, they'll emerge. And there's nothing wrong with what your experience was. You got into that state, which was the intent. That's what takes you there, where you can. That's the state where you can reprogram. That's the state where you can receive and transmit that kind of message to your consciousness.
Collective dreaming in the drug-free way, right? Like it's just, I feel like super high, but I mean, I'm just, you know, that's where it takes you, man, you know?
Yeah. She says she's super high. That's why people say when it comes to certain healing stuff, they say, well, are we going to have any mushrooms or anything? And I'm like, no, I'm already too high. So there will be no additive, mind-altering substances here. So that's already a high. In fact, that space in the brain that deals with drugs also is the same space that you move into with spiritual high. Okay, it's the same place in the brain. So, anything else? Enjoy we won't bother you on your buzz, okay? Yes. Mike. It's the Zoom people that need to hear you. It's not,
Yes,
we can hear you.
sorry, my friends in Zoom world. This was really amazing. Thank you. I will say I struggled with the blindfold. And then I was with it, and I kind of struggled to see my word on my rock. I thought I glimpsed like family, then I thought I glimpsed community, and then I landed in liberation. But I felt like that was also how I saw my higher self. Like it wasn't a self, it wasn't a person, it was stardust and an almost blinding white light, but it wasn't blinding. It was like you want to look at it, but you don't want to look at it. And that part, yes.
That part, right there.
And so I invited that part of myself, and remembering that is the part of myself that I love the most. And that was very, very liberating. And I'm gonna do it again because I want to know what my word on my rock was.
Okay, so you asked about practicing. You can practice with your higher self, your true original self. Okay, and you had a glimpse of the holy self. That's that total. Okay, so rock on. Anybody else? So if you didn't find a word on your rock, if you heard something or you had a sense of something, just capture in your journal whatever you had a sense of, and for your calling, you may hear it, you know, as a message rather than see it on the stone. Yes.
Exactly that. The struggle to find it, and then when it came to release.
Just try it again. It sometimes.
Release.
Oh.
Release.
Here.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, why don't you move over there? Move.
I chose to release regret.
Oh.
Which was regretting all the expectations I never felt I was responding to. That I couldn't, oh, I can't see this. I'm not a good student. What's the teacher saying? I can't do this. Do I belong here?
All of that.
And just that regret, and just how much of my current story and even my current vision is really trying to fix some kind of a regret or sense of inadequacy or a sense of shame.
Yes, yes, powerful.
And then kind of rising up is still very incomplete, but
that's okay.
The eagle was then freer, and then, like you were describing how it comes in later, it was different stuff I was journaling about. It's like, oh, there's this, oh, there's that, and I didn't see it when we were in there, but it was what was coming through. So there was a higher holy self piece in that.
Well, yeah, 3 different things. This self, the true original self, which I call also higher self, and the holy self. Mm-hmm.
Holy self.
Mm-hmm.
Neptune.
We were merging with the true original self before wounding and stuff. And one of the songs that came to me when you were up here talking is a song for the Eagle Nation, Chanupa, in the color for the pipe of the Eagle Nation. Right. So we'll see. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Drum up there. Wow. How many people can relate to releasing regret, shame, not good enough, inadequacy? Okay. One of the most common sets of limitations. Okay. So when you let that go, universe abhors a void. So you need to put in whatever you're releasing, you need to put in that thing you're claiming as a power in its absence. It could be even a symbol of that power. The power that has previously been invested in shame, regret, inadequacy, not good enough. You want to replace with something that symbolizes a powerful reclamation. It's not even a reclamation because you didn't lose it. You just covered it up with the trauma, etc. Okay? So it's up under there. It wasn't really lost. It is, yeah. You're bringing it back in like a puzzle piece that was there but you didn't see. Okay? So whatever symbolizes that, that's why I was asking you to take something that was a positive, powerful symbol to bring through in the space where that limitation had been. Okay? So, thanks for sharing that. All right. And the eagle, they say our oldest relative is the stone nation, the mountains, the stones, the rocks, whatever, because they witness everything. But before the mountains, the eagle, the messenger from Creator, Great Spirit. So, very powerful. Anybody else? Yes.
I was in a liminal state for a while, almost falling asleep. And I found myself retracing a solo backpacking trip I'd taken. It camped by ancient native settlements for a couple of nights. And it was a time 35 years ago when I knew major change was needed. And I remember, and in revisiting it, the places were just as vivid, if not more so, with more understanding. But the most striking part was I thought it was a solo backpacking trip, but today I realized I wasn't alone. And it felt initially really strange to do this exercise as part of a large group of people, but felt that my accompaniment here was not just present, but also ancestral.
Great, not alone. Again, not alone on these journeys, on this calling. And to say strange to do it in large group, that's one of the most powerful places to do it. I know you're introvert. He's about to elaborate. That's good. But yes.
Talking about togetherness and being a group of people, the vision that came to mind was the United States flag instead of the stripes with the 13 colonies, having indigenous symbols and the flags of all the people that make up the United States. So it transformed to something liberating versus what is capturing or oppressive.
The power. The power of dreaming and visioning and journeying together.
We have something from Zoom World.
Zoom World.
This is from Matthew Armstead. What's amazing is that I saw a rock move toward it, swallow the seed, and became the mountain.
Woo!
The clouds cleared, and I was told to speak, 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 and listen. The sword is connected to the ground, go down, 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 where I released the trauma wound and was asked, who are the people? Their names came, and I saw the rings of a tree. Trees grow out in layers. Watch them grow, don't cut them down, stay the course.
Stay the course. Watch them grow, don't cut them down. So I swallowed the stone and I became the mountain. I swallowed the stone because that is a soul seed. What did I say about the soul? What in your soul wants to be revealed? Some people got something, a piece of something. Some people got a space or a process for something. Keep at it. Keep going. Keep going. I don't have to tell you to breathe. But I did use my energy to help you do what you needed to do. And you keep going, please, keep going. Use your agency. If you have a calling, you also need to want it. You need to want it more than you resist it. And it may happen in the middle of it that you're like, what was I thinking? Why did I say yes? I've definitely had that experience in the middle of a mountain where I couldn't turn back. I'm like, what was I thinking? Go ahead.
You might recognize me from the dance section. Incidentally, I had a dance vision, and part of the instructions on the stone was be love. And at first I was like, oh, so cliche. But obviously for a reason, because it's just such a truth. And corresponding with that was a dancer. And one of the things, barriers that has been in my way, when I was younger, I was very physically active. I was dancing all the time and bringing a lot of joy to people through dance and inviting them into that process. And then I went through a period of really terrible trauma and grief, and I was inactive for like a long time. And my lifestyle was very much like working from bed kind of a situation. So it turned into chronic neck pain. And I've been on a long journey with the healing of that, in terms of like the emotions and the, internal spiritual wounding. But I hadn't paid so much attention to my physical body's response to that, like 7-year period of my life. And so the past couple of years, I've been journeying to different places to find my role, and throughout the entire period, I got very sick. I was constantly sick, throwing my neck out or sick, and it was just like the patterns of tending to my body. And in this vision, it was very clear that I need to really tend and heal my body and in order to be that love in that dance space and invite people along with me. So I'm going to join a gym today. And I also I'm new to town. I just moved here from Texas. And so I wanted
Where?
to Austin.
Oh, hill country.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to say, hi, my name is Kate Kirby, and I want to be leading healing dance experiences here. And so if anyone has any ideas for where or who would want to be part of that, I just want to say hello, and I'm going to be like really getting in shape soon. So I can do that to the extent to which I know needs to be done. So yeah.
All right. Great. We can have anybody from Zoom land or one more, and then we're going to move into another portion.
I do have a share. I just want to mention that during you leading them through the journey, they couldn't hear your audio in the Zoom space. I just want to let you know that that's a thing that exists and that was happening.
Oh, they couldn't hear the audio in the Zoom
space. I think there wasn't clarity around whether or not that was to be shared, so they didn't actually hear the audio. We were able to share the actual the drum sound itself, but they didn't experience that journey in the same way.
Oh, because they didn't have the drumming.
Well, they had the drumming and not your actual guiding.
Oh, they couldn't hear me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I mean, there's still some reflections, but that piece was.
Okay, sorry about that. I wasn't aware. Yeah, it happens again. You can let me know. You didn't know that they couldn't hear either, though, right?
Well, no, we knew. We didn't realize that it wasn't intentional that way. That was we were just trying to figure this out.
We just intended that the recording not be publicized.
Absolutely, yeah, that makes sense.
But we did not intend for the Zoom people not to hear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so. Apparently.
Oh yeah, I mean.
Apparently, Matthew heard a lot. Speak the truth. Preach. Speak the truth.
Yeah, Matthew heard loud and clear. I'm sure other folks did as well. There's a sharing though. If you, I'd love to share what Polly had to share.
Okay, go ahead.
1 second. So initially, Polly says, I was listening to the recorded drum and heard the following: "I'm with you, you're with me. I am you, you are me." Right? And then they popped out and read the chat and and saw someone mentioned fell off the turnip truck. let me just, I'm understanding this as what I needed to learn. When and why do I trust, stay with my journey course? Whatever is happening, not happening, think happening, not happening. But yeah, just wanted to like share what they've written in the chat as well.
Thank you. We are going to make a series of, we're going to make a spiral in the room with the chairs. Before we do that, I want to honor, because it come up twice now, the Eagle Nation. So let me do that. And then we're going to make a spiral and we're going to do our closing. I do not dare add one more ounce of content to our experience. You will have the slides, okay? Put this down. This is working, right? Makacho kanchanupa ki upa pelo hey. Makacho kanchanupa cha upa pelo hey. Wambly grishka wakan chanupa upa pelo hey. Makacho kan tachanupa ki umpa pelo hey. Makacho kan chanupa ki umpa pelo hey. Wamli ochan chanupa ke umpa pelo hey. Ke umpa pelo hey. Papelo, hey. Okay, the eagle. Let's go. We're not doing the songs. We're not doing the songs on these songs on the. So they get edited out. Yeah. Last thing is the others want to see some of those songs on YouTube. Okay. So let's start here. We're gonna go like this. I'll tell you when we add in the part. You got it? You can come in here. I'll tell you when we're going to make a tail around it. So you see what we're doing? We're going to put one here, and then we'll start the next round. When you start the next round, I'll. Yeah, that's great. Great. And then we'll make another one after this one. You see what we're doing, right? It's going to be like a spiral. But yeah, we'll make one of them the connector. Yeah, wherever we decide where to connect it. It's such a big room. This is a way to get us all in. There we go. Okay. You do? Okay. 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 Here I come. Maybe. Thank you. Whew. What a day. Okay. Just closing comments, brief. Make a statement, say a word, closing in this energy space, either about how you feel, what you learned, anything that puts your word into this circle. And then after we close this, Neonu has 5 minutes. She needs to share something. Everybody doesn't have to speak, but somebody might want to. The turtle is always home. Is there, I was going to pass you the mic.
Replace my trauma, replace your trauma, all bodies swimming in the stars.
I'm going to sing what I have to speak. This is for all of us. I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us where we go and help us to be wise when off the course we go. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, to a place where we'll be safe.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. Woo. How about somebody who hasn't spoken in the total group today? I mean, in the group as a whole.
I think what, like, during that practice, what was brought up for me is reconnecting with that child before influence.
Before that outside influence. That purity and innocence, unwounded, and merging, practice merging Get you closer to that unwounded and unwoundable space, okay? Still have to do your healing work on specific things, but hey, that's part of the journey. Yeah. Ah, can I get a true transformer amen somewhere? I do. And Zoomland. Zoomland, do you have anything to say?
This one? Oh, it does work. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
From Becca, we have speak truth from my center, drop the fluff. From Christiana, we have the grounding rod that captures electricity and powers the city.
Woo!
And from Matthew, we have soar as water drips from your wings.
Ooh, all these poets.
Zoom is full of poetry today.
Poets. The soul of the generation. Yes. Yes.
I will be more prosaic. And to each of you, I extend my deep love to those of you I know and those I've met and who I look forward to meeting in the future, and my endearing sense of gratitude to this community as we continue to meet, and with whom I've met with you for probably 15 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so we're in the red.
A golden thread connecting all of our hearts.
Uh-huh. Ooh. Did I do the first Deeper Change Forum with Peter Block? Was in the morning and I was in the morning and he was in the afternoon, or vice versa. July, you remember? 2011 July. My goodness, I just realized that we did the first Deeper Change Forum. Phoenix and the Butterfly. Yes. Oh my goodness. Next. She's talking about me. Hurt my feeling. Go ahead.
I just want to frame that you can see more when you're blindfolded.
All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Keep those blindfolds handy.
I want to add to trust in your truth and to feel into your truth.
Great. Mm-hmm.
From Michelle online, I am you, you are me.
Oh, yes. Love that message. Fabulous.
Just want to add heart trembling and opening.
Ooh.
The golden thread that connects our hearts is joy.
The golden thread that connects our hearts
is joy.
Oh. Mm.
This is a little bit wordier, but I was just building off what other people were thinking about our breathing together and our journey. And I think there are a lot of themes of impotence and feelings of isolation when you're trying to do important work and make change. And my vision, at least, there was no imagery of other people, but hearing and feeling everyone's breath alongside me, and sort of in communion, felt like a really powerful reminder of togetherness. So even maybe when community is not visible, remembering that you're one of the collective. That felt really special.
Powerful. Yes, it is. One of the most powerful ways to do the work.
Noticed some new pronouns showing up. One is spelled M-Y-O-U-R, like my hour. Another is M-E-U-S, Neos.
Yes. New pronouns.
From Patricia Watson, transforming myself into a new reality and new place, a totally new experience. I see myself as a conduit to assist others on this journey. Truly grateful to be a part of this journey today.
Okay. Patricia Lawson. I know Patricia Lawson. She lives in Nova Scotia. Hey, Patricia. How y'all doing? Nova Scotia, yeah. Laura's friend. Mm-hmm. Wow. I told you we've known each other since '85. Okay. Do you want to? I don't know what time it is. Do you want to stand? One more.
Although we are not one, we are not separate. And although we are not separate, we are not the same.
Mm. Can always remember the breath of this group when you're doing your work, when you're digging deeper, and pursue the opportunities that show up to go further. Thank you so much for giving so much of yourself today, for opening your spirit eyes, your spirit ears, and your heart to one another and to all of this that is to be done. I really think it's precious, and I think collectively here it's been precious to be with one another on but one more step of the journey. Mm-hmm.
When I first came up to New Haven and was being introduced to work coming through Bill's visions in this work, there was an indication that some of the work included spirit, or was also spiritual. Is oftentimes, mind, body, spirit. It's mind, body, spirit. But what I have found actually in almost all places that say that, the universities, is that spirit work is hidden, if at all. And I was drumming during the journey, so a part of me was occasionally focused on staying on the beat. And I wasn't doing my own personal journeying per se, but what spirit kept inviting me with all of the direction was I was actually asking, or what was put before me was, what was the original holy body of New Haven Legal Assistance Program? What was the original call of Southern? What is the original body of Two Coyotes, of Common Ground, of Elm City, of each person here who's doing work in the world? I was thinking it's in many ways that same journey of having been called to something in a very pure, original way, but then the influences come in. And I was feeling how validation comes connected to some of those influences. And I was hearing, like, for folks for whom this is their first Deeper Change forum, I was noticing even within myself, this voice was like, oh, but we do intellectual things too. But we know how to do strategic planning. We're not all woo-woo, we're not all spiritual. And that dichotomy, that pull is the pull to hide, to separate from, to not listen to our knowingness that's so connected. So in this circle, in this closing spiral, how are we hiding? How are we hiding? And the call for what is needed on this planet in our society right now is that we bring this forth fully. And that was part of why in this theme year of what does it take to stay the course, I knew Dr. D had to be the beginning of this year. As we knew in 2011, and that was what I wanted to say, is that, yeah, right from the door, this is what I feel so strongly is the call, what we're so deeply yearning for. What we traditionally do at the close of a Deeper Change Forum is spend just a little bit of time hearing people appreciate the gift that was brought through this particular vessel today. Dr. Darya, Funches, just some appreciations before we close. And I'll just say, I'll start with thank you for modeling in every way that I've known you, what it takes to truly, truly be who I've come to be, whether it felt painful or joyous. Anyone else want to take my, oh, and then Lorraine right after. Lauren.
Thank you for your bigness and your audacity to do this work in this way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard so much about Dr. Darya. This is my first time actually being here to hear you speak. And I jokingly said to Tama, I said, I didn't know we were going to church today. But like, it felt good to be here and to see everyone here you could literally feel our hearts opening up and us being able to be here and hold each other. And I just thank you for creating this experience. And yeah, like hearing you talk really just brought tears to my eyes because I resonated with so much of it. So thank you.
Thank you. For someone that is here at the Deeper Change Forum for the first time, and starting to create a community, thank you for being here at the beginning of this journey for many. Thank you for your powerful, unprecedented, and very necessary leadership.
And again, first timer over here, thank you, and thank you, and thank you. Thank you for reminding me to keep going when I'm sick of myself and to be love anyway.
From Zoom, Jill says, thank you, Dr. D, for reminding me that I am unwoundable. Becca says, thank you, Dr. D, for sharing your wisdom, power, and lineage with us and reminding us that we all have power to make transformation happen. Matthew says, thanks for your transformational leadership in the vision of spirits having a human experience. And finally, Patricia says, what a blessing to be in your presence today. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and planting seeds in our hearts. Sawubona, I see you. Many blessings.
I wanted to thank you because there are no accidents in life. I just found out about this last night. And for a little while now, I've been working on getting rid of this aspect of trying to be analytical and trying to translate my heart and spirit into something analytical. And thank you for creating the safe space and showing me through your example that I need to just keep speaking from my heart and letting spirit do what it has to do. And I am not in control, and I know that, but I kept trying to create a thing that other people would understand. And that's not, it's supposed to be heart to heart. And so thank you.
Just want to say thank you, Dr. D. I'm over here. And I heard you have this program called True Transformers. How can I join? And today, I've asked myself over the years, a good friend said to me, children are often the answer to the biggest questions that the parents had. And today I figured out what their big question that I am their answer for. So I just want to say thank you for accelerating what could have been a lifetime. And so I hope to take the rest of my lifetime being that divine answer. So I appreciate you.
Right. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Well, in church, they will let you keep going, but I say, I'm going to pass it back to Dr. D, but it is 3:30, so I want to honor people's closing time, so I'll let you have the last word.
Quick. I wanted to really emphasize that part where you were talking about what are we hiding, because, we may feel that call, and that call, I want to say stay the course, and visions are spirit-led and spirit-driven. It's something confiscated by organizations who come together and talk some analytical stuff and don't necessarily capture the spirit-led and spirit-driven part in the heart of the message. Some do, some don't. But all of this stay the course is spirit-led, spirit-driven. So when we are hiding or trying to modify our spiritual experience or wisdom that the very work we're doing is grounded in, it's hysterical. It's like I'm going to play hide and seek, but I'm not there. I'll be out there at 3:00 playing hide and seek with you, but I won't be there. You know, because that's what we're doing, you know? So it's amazing. But it's not that I don't ask myself. I know Neon even called me and said, blindfolds? You're going to be doing blindfolds? You're doing a journey? What are you doing? What are you doing? I said, I'm just staying the course to myself. That's what I said. I'm doing what the Spirit tells me to do. That old gospel song, do what the Spirit say do. That's my final word. Do what the Spirit say do.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. So thank you to Diana and Whitneyville Cultural Commons for the hosting that you do. Diana, yes. Yes, and thank you all, big time Jill. You just don't know. So good, so good. Thank you. And I want to give a shout out just to Maza as well. Yes, there she is. Yes, yes. Maza has taken us up to a whole nother level and has started a blog that will be coming out that's called What Spirit Got to Do With It. So, all right, let you go on your way. Thank you, CEIO team, for all the ways that you love on us. Be well.